Thank you so much for being here, everybody, and for taking the time out. We're so excited to launch our fiscal year 25 Hudson County History Partnership Program. Now, I just wanted to kind of give everybody a little bit of background regarding the grant. If this is your first time, welcome. If you have been with us before, great to see you, and hope you're having a lovely summer. So as you're all aware, this grant is in partnership with the New Jersey State Historical Commission, Division of Department of the State, and is administered by our office here in Hudson County, Office of Cultural Heritage Affairs, and distributed by the Hudson County Executive Craig and Hudson County Board of County Commissioners. So thank you, everybody, again, for being with us today. I just wanted to give you some details with respect to the grant. This is from January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. And also, I also wanted to introduce you to our amazing team that it's a well-oiled machine with all of our grants that we facilitate through the county and through this specific office. So first and foremost, I'd like to introduce Mr. Joe Wax. He is our program development specialist for all of our local arts performing grants. Hey, Joe. You're muted.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning. And then we also have Brian Murray, our program development specialist for history and heritage.
Morning, everyone.
And Marissa Barron, you don't really see her because she's always behind the scenes, but she is the reason we are able to have this beautiful, amazing grant held on SurveyMonkey, and she's the one that puts it all together for us. So good morning, Marissa.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you so much. Great. Well, with that, I will kick it off to Brian. And essentially what we're going to do today is go through step by step on how to apply on SurveyMonkey on our platform, along with kind of answering questions and going through guidelines on our guidelines grant. So again, I'm so sorry. We are having some technical issues internally, so hopefully you're able to hear us and see us. If not, please raise your hand. You can pop any questions into the Q&A. Periodically, we're also going to be dropping in links so that you can easily access all of what we're talking about. And this is recorded as well, so we will put this up on our site after the webinar is completed. Thanks again to everybody. All right, Brian, we're ready whenever you are.
Okay, so welcome everyone. I just want to say that I think a lot of people are probably very nervous about this application. I know one or two people who are a little nervous. You shouldn't be nervous. The only thing you have to fear is fear itself. We're just going to read through the guidelines. And they're very self-explanatory. Joe Wax, who you have just met, wrote them and did a great job. I have not changed them because it's hard to improve upon perfection. So I'm going to start off, and for those of you who are already familiar with this, I apologize in advance, but there are some people that including myself, because this is a learning curve for me, need a walkthrough. So deadline for the application is Monday, September 23rd. So the application is already open. And I'm just going to read from this. I know you can read with me. If you have not printed out a copy, then I'll just read through it.
This is from the guidelines. I'm just stressing everybody from the guidelines, which are these, which you can find on the website. If you go to Hudson County Cultural Affairs, if you just Google Hudson County Cultural Affairs, you'll take you to our website, and there's a grants tab on top, and then it'll take you. It's very easy to find everything. Sorry, Brian, I just wanted to
no, by all means,
make it clear that these are the guidelines, which we can also bring up and show if we want. If you want to do that, we can do that too.
just drop them in the chat, and Marissa, if you're going to pull them up, that'd be great. And again, everybody should have access to this. So Brian will just do a quick overview.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to skip to the page 2, and at the bottom it says the guidelines, the application describe how grant funds can be used for specific programming. And so I'm going to just read from the page: broadening, deepening, and diversifying the audience for history in Hudson County, strengthening and further developing existing history organizations and programs in Hudson County, initiating new programming on the history of Hudson County and its 12 municipalities. Okay, I think, let's see if I catch up a little bit.
So I'm just going to back up slightly. So I don't know how many, I think some of you are familiar with this grant, but I just want to make it clear what it is. And sorry, Brian, I just want to start with the fundamentals just so that we don't lose anybody. So the history grant is the History Partnership Program grant. What it is we get money from the state of New Jersey, from the New Jersey State Historical Council. We also get those funds are also augmented by our Hudson County Board of Commissioners and our county executive, Craig Guy. And I believe we're the only county in the state that that augments what we get from the state of New Jersey with funds from our local elected officials, our county elected officials. And I just want to make that clear because I think it's important, and it shows how much we have such a rich history here in Hudson County, and it's important to us for you to help you showcase what that history is. So this grant provides funds to nonprofit organizations, registered 501c3s, C4s, or C6s, and money that will allow you that will fund distinct programs that you are going to do within the grant period. And as Brian said, the grant period is from January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. So sorry, I just wanted to make clear.
No, don't worry about it.
And then there's really two types of grants we're talking about here in HPP. One is program support, which I just kind of alluded to what that is, and that's just fund a program. The other type of grant that's available, and it's available only to history-based organizations, because as you may or may not know, a lot of our grantees are arts organizations or community organizations that do artistic programming, and their programming is excellent, but the focus of this grant is history. And I guess Brian should also, at some point, you should talk about, I know that there's a renewed emphasis by the Historical Council on historical accuracy and that type of thing. So you can get into that, but I just wanted to get into what the grant is. So the other type is general operating support, and that is only available to history-based organizations, and that is for the general operation of your organization. So it's not for a discrete program. It's for the general functioning of your organization. And if you do want to apply for that, if you're a history organization and you do want to apply for that, you should reach out to Brian and have a discussion with him. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out there, and then we go from there.
Okay. So thank you, Joe. I mean, feel free to jump in. So this is my first time doing it. Joe's an old pro at this. I am basically reading from the guidelines. And then we will have help with the actual application. So I do want to say, want to better understand who is able to apply. And I'll try not to belabor this whole thing by reading everything, but Hudson County-based nonprofit history-related organizations that have collections or programming related to the history of Hudson County or history of any of the 12 municipalities are incorporated in the state of New Jersey, have been in existence for at least 1 year as of January 2024, and can demonstrate an ability to provide history programs and or services to the public. This is key, are defined as nonprofit organizations under sections 501c3, 501c4, or 501c6 by the Internal Revenue Service. Applicants are required to include copies of their IRS letter of determination. So that's A. B. Units of government in Hudson County, including schools, libraries, colleges, and universities, or private nonprofit universities that provide local history programs, services, or activities pertaining to Hudson County or any one of its municipalities. And then finally, well, no, there are two more. Hudson County-based nonprofit arts organizations who present local artistic history programming, such as creative history-based happenings, historically based murals, visual arts exhibits, school arrangements, or performances on historical subjects. So essentially what this is saying is that you can be a ballet troupe. You can write a ballet as a project about the storming of the blockhouse in Old Bergen. You can do something artistically that furthers the historical narrative.
Yeah, and in fact, Brian, that is some of the most innovative and interesting programming has come from some of our arts partners. Speranza Theater Company is
Correct.
a long time
playwrights, of course.
Yeah, a long time grantee of ours, and they present. They do plays, and they're historically focused. They're historically accurate, which I'll get into in a second, and they're really great. Part of this grant, one of the things you should know is if you are a arts organization or a non-history organization, and this is on page 4 of the guidelines, that at least 20% of the cost of the funds you get from us, or 20% of the project of the 20%, at least 20% of the grant needs to be used for consultation with a qualified historian or historians on the subject matter of the project. So that's really important. Like, it's not
it's non-negotiable.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it's not like you can't make stuff up, and we want it to be, this is a really important grant, and it needs to be, what the work you need to do needs to be historically relevant and historically accurate. So I just think it's important to stress that. Maybe it might be useful to go through the application, and then we can answer questions.
Sure, if you want to do that. Would you like to do that?
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. So let's bring up the program. Let's bring up the application. Marissa, you want to share the screen?
Yeah, she's already got it up. So yeah, let's do the application. And then Joe, Brian, if you want to just pause at certain points for any questions, anybody can drop it in the chat for questions and answers. And I just want to reiterate upon Joe's point there. So also the New Jersey Historical Commission has gotten, more attention to the actual programming for history. So that's something that we really want to really just promote, and again, if you are an arts organization, amazing. If you're doing, historical work, fantastic. If you're not doing historical programming, again, perfect opportunity to apply for our LAP grant, local arts performing grant there. But really specific, this is specific to the history and heritage and culture of Hudson County. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to add that the people that you're consulting have to be experts in that field. So we had somebody apply last year who consulted or had as a consultant a professor, a doctor of costume history. And this, of course, pertained to their performances. So it's really important. If you're doing military history, you might want to have someone as a consultant who is an expert in military history and so on and so forth.
And for you folks out there who are arts organizations or community organizations, and are you can Brian Brian is a great resource in terms of helping you find somebody. But a lot of people we have so many great institutions of higher learning here in Hudson County. So people who are professors at Hudson County Community College, St. Peter's University, New Jersey City University. Those are people that have consulted with groups on their projects in the past. So I just wanted to put some to say that. So we have the application open, and this is the first. This is the first page. This is what come up when you go to our website and you say you want to apply. And the first thing you do is the eligibility questions. And so, are you a nonprofit in Hudson County? Are you a governmental entity in Hudson County? Or are you an organization located outside of Hudson County? So, and the reason it's asking that is because if you are located outside of Hudson County, you do not qualify for this grant. So you will not let you do this application. So, and the reason we have these questions is we want to see what this application branches, which means certain questions go to depending on your previous answer, the following questions will branch. So we ask you that. So we're going to say we're a nonprofit entity, which is so. And then, has your organization been in existence for 1 full year as of January 1, 2024? Yes. So that's a requirement. And then, is your organization incorporated as a nonprofit in the state of New Jersey? And I just want to make it clear that having a 501c3, that's actually much harder to do, but is not the same thing. Getting your determination letter from the IRS is different than registering your organization as a nonprofit in the state of New Jersey. And in fact, I think you have to do that first, register as a nonprofit in order to get your in the state where you're located, in order to receive your IRS 501c3 status. So you have to be incorporated as a nonprofit. Okay, so once we got those questions answered, and you can see Marissa went over to the left and checked that. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to verify your 501c3 charity status. Now, one thing you might be scratching your head right now, I said 501c3, 501c4, or 501c6. C4s are social welfare organization. C6s are organizations like historic downtown, special improvement district, like those type of chambers of commerce, things like that. They all have the ability to apply, but this question only applies to C3. This is the way this application works. It will only do a C3 search. If you are a C4 or C6, what I recommend is you just use your own, not your own. I'm sorry. That you can just go online and you can just, if you go and say like Make-A-Wish Foundation EIN, you can just plug that in, and that'll let you move on in the application. And then you'll see it's confusing, but so let's just put in a EIN here to verify.
This question is optional, so if they don't, they could skip it if they want. They have to go to organization profile and attach it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So if you have issues, like, I would just skip it. But if you haven't, put it in.
Just forget everything I just said. But
Sorry, Joe.
sorry.
Right.
No,
Technically, you can see that it's optional. So anything that is optional, you can
Yeah.
skip and deal with a later time.
Yeah, my apologies. So okay, so we're going to go to the organizational profile. What type of organization are you? Are you a history-based organization? Are you a arts-based nonprofit? Are you a governmental entity? Or are you some other type of nonprofit? And the reason we ask this question is because if you remember just a few minutes ago, I described the two types of grants. So if you are a history nonprofit, you're going to be able to apply either for program support or governmental or general operating support. If you're a non-history organization, then the only grant you're going to be able to apply for is a program support grant, and it'll branch that way. So we're going to say we're a nonprofit history organization. And then you fill in all these things, your address, your name, address, your mailing address. If it's different, we give you an opportunity to put it in there, because oftentimes the legal address of a organization is different than a mailing address. So
And we've had several. Yeah, we've had several organizations who had one mailing address and then for the organization, another one for check. So
right. So
please do be aware of that in advance.
Yeah.
Because your check may go awry.
Yeah. It just makes it much easier for you and for our finance folks. So we're filling all that in. So now you're going to attach your mission statement. If you're a nonprofit, if you're a 501, you would have had to have supplied that to the IRS anyway. So it's something you should have. And then a list of your organization's board of directors or trustees. Just it's a Word. It can be a Word document or a PDF. And then now this is where I was talking about before. You need to be one of those things, and you upload your file. So there you go. And then your certificate of Jersey certificate of non-profit incorporation. Now, if you're a municipality, you're not going to have that. How does that work, Marissa? Have we dealt with that in the past?
If they are government?
If it's they wouldn't have a certificate of they wouldn't have a New Jersey certificate of nonprofit incorporation if they're a municipality, correct?
Correct. So that would fall under government entity. So it would
Right.
hide it.
Bingo. So then you wouldn't have that question.
Yeah, government entities is only W-9 and then Russian.
Right. Okay.
So
thank you.
Yeah, it will automatically hide.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
Um,
So so we're assuming we're a history organization, correct? So yep, you do that. Your W-9, which allows you to get paid. You upload that, and then this is I'm sure none of you are doing business with Russia, Belarus, or Iran, but every vendor with the county, this is a state law, needs to fill out a certification that you are not doing business with Russia, Belarus, or Iran. It's just a checkbox form that you sign. And
where do they find these, Joe?
It's right. You can find it. Says, please print this form.
Okay.
Sign and upload here. So it's right. It takes you right to the form. Great. Thank you for showing that. And then so these are all preliminary things that we just asked for up front, so that we don't have to go chasing you around later for this stuff. And it shows what accepted format. PDF is the format. Everybody should have access to that to create PDFs. All right. So now where are we here? Okay, describe the focus of your organization. So this is where you would this is for the peer review panel. let me just back up for a second, just tell you about the peer review panel. So, our office, this office offers the grant, but the personnel in this office do not make decisions on who gets what. Decisions are made by a peer review panel, which is made up of several people who have experience in the historical realm, and also have experience in history-based nonprofits, and so they are the ones that assign scores to your application. So yeah. So this is to tell them what type of organization you are. Yeah. So you just answer that question. Say you're organization that is the history, is focused on the history of Bayonne, New Jersey. You would put that in there. And then since you're a history organization, you have a choice of what type of grant to apply for. Let me just say that most people, most people are going to want to apply for program support, but it is the general operating support. You do have an opportunity to apply for general operating support. Like I said, if that's something you want to explore, you have to be a history-based organization, and you need to give Brian a call and have a discussion about it. And the reason that is because the dollar amounts are higher. We generally we have our LAP program, which is local arts program, which is a grant program, very similar, same concept is the HPP. If you are we generally, like, the people who apply for general operating support or organizations who have been with us for several years, who have successfully completed projects, program support projects. They have a good track record, and a track record of excellence as well. So this is a newer grant, so people aren't going to have been with us as long, but like, if this is your first year, you should apply for program support and not general operating support. And the differences are, one of the differences is in how much you can ask for. What is the program support? The max is $12,500 that you can ask for, and general operating support is $15,000. So it's a greater amount. But like I said, we'll show you in a little bit the budget section, and the budget, if you're applying for general operating support, the budget is not you would be detailing the budget of your organization. If you're applying for a program support grant, when you get to the budget, you're going to be detailing how much this program is going to cost, and this cost associated with that. But I'm jumping ahead. So where are we here?
So I completed organization profile. I chose program support.
Yep, good. So we're applying for program support. So
it doesn't automatically take you to the next task. Unfortunately,
yeah,
you have to click on your left-hand side.
Yep. So when you complete a section, you just go over to the left-hand side and hit check, and then you can move on to the next section. So you would put in the amount you would ask for. Let me just stress that we do have a nice pot of money to distribute, but we don't have unlimited amounts of money to distribute. So what we ask, and we ask it every year, but I want to redouble our request, is that you really think long and hard about how much something costs. Just because you can ask for $12,500 doesn't mean you have to ask for $12,500. If something generally costs less than that, then you should ask for the amount it costs. We get so many applications where please state the amount you are requesting. And then the maximum you can request is $12,500, and that's how much they ask for. And that says to me that you're kind of trying to just shoehorn your project in there so that you can get the maximum amount of money.
May I interject too? I think
Yeah.
the people who read these, they understand what's happening. And I can't say for certain, but it might reflect in your score if they. So I think honesty is the best policy, and trying to make everything,
Yeah,
as accurate as
exactly.
possible is a good idea.
Exactly.
All
I
I
mean,
want
when
to say.
the peer review panel, they will see it, and they will note, like Brian said, they will note that. So, and I mean, if it does cost that much, great, and you justify it, that's great. But just because you can ask for that amount doesn't mean you have to. So we're asking for $12,000. Our project is going to cost $12,000. So state this is the purpose. This is like an important question. What is the purpose of your funding request? So basically, you're laying out what is the project you want to do, and so it has a bunch of some subtext underneath that question. It's pretty straightforward. It's why are you applying for this grant? So you have 3,000 characters, which is like 2 single space pages, which is a lot. There's no reason that you have to use 3,000 characters. Sometimes less is more. Don't feel obliged that you have to, fill up to, that you have to use the maximum amount. Very often you don't have to. Don't feel compelled to, just write your answer. Conciseness is important. These people read a lot of the peer review panel. There's quite a few applications, so just keep in mind, like they're reading these applications. Like I said, sometimes less is more. Like I always thought, like I think writing like a 1-page paper is harder than writing a
Right. If I may interject, if you
of course.
each one of these, explain the benefit to the general public, underserved audiences, if you treat every one of those as a kind of question that you're going to answer, and then keep it as concise and as tight as possible. So they really just want to know the dates, the locations, who it's going to help, who it's going to serve, and that sort of thing.
What's the historical significance, how it promotes the growth of study of history, historical organizations, or historical programming in Hudson County. It was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So once you completed that question, this is the most important question, and this is the narrative. If you go to page 13 in the guidelines, we outline what you should include in the narrative. And also there's some verbiage there about the purpose. But it pretty much mirrors what is on the what that question is. But this is the program support narrative. So this is like really the thing that's gonna tell the peer reviewers what it's all about. So you're beginning with an overview of your organization, what history related activities conducted, if you indeed have done that. What is the project? Why is it worth doing? Why is it worth funding? How does it relate to your mission, your organization's mission? And as you can see, it says section headings based on the letter items below are recommended. So it just keeps it nice and neat and organized. C, how was the program selected is actually part of B. C, discuss the project planning process. So like, who you're hiring a consultant, who that person is. That's a D, is who's from provide the name and history-related qualification credentials, responsible for overseeing the project. E, where and when will the project take place? So like you're trying to, you're going to flesh out, when you think you're going to be doing this. How will you advertise and promote the project? What's your timeline? How will you evaluate the success, benefits, or failures of your project? And then I is illustrate your organization's how your programs address our priorities for funding as described above. And the priorities for funding you can find on page folks. Did you see that in there, Marissa? I can't, I'm thumbing through here.
Sorry, what are you looking for?
Priorities for the priorities for funding.
That's H on 14.
Yeah, my apologies.
It's in
No.
This one?
Yes, that is the priorities starting on page 13, the priorities for funding. And so you can see what they are. Okay, mine's a little different. Yeah, so it starts on page 12 when I printed it out. It starts on page 12, priorities for funding for both program support and general operating support. I'll just run through it really quick. Outreach to underserved communities, such as senior citizens, people with physical challenges, developmentally disabled folks, culturally diverse. Promotion of history in the municipalities in the northern and western part of Hudson County. And the reason that is that's not to poo-poo people who were doing histories of Bayonne, Jersey City, North Bergen, whatever. We generally tend to get less applications from folks out in Harrison, HCOCHA, East Newark, and Kearney. And so if you're doing that, if you are, an organization that's focusing on those things, that definitely helps your application.
Again, may I interject?
Yeah,
I want everyone to know that the New Jersey Historic Trust and all of the attendant organizations have said that going toward the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, the funding is really not just for history about the revolution and how it affected our county. It could be anything. And really more specifically, they would like to see the inclusion of undertold histories, underserved communities. So African-American women, I guess even gay, history, homosexual histories, anything between 1776 and now. So, you can really sort of broaden your horizons. And if you feel like your certain location didn't have a lot to do with, say, the American Revolution and Civil War, you can now sort of expand on that. And I'm sure you can find somebody or something that happened or, in your general locale. So.
Yeah, and just piggybacking a little bit off of what Brian just said, if you, the best applications are the ones that have like fully formed ideas of what they want to do. But if you're you kind of have an idea, but you don't know, it's not fully fleshed out, and you think it might be good, but you're not sure, give Brian get in touch with Brian, and we can caucus here and kind of try to direct you if you need help with that. But I think they kind of pop out at you what's good, but if you need help like with direction, or you say, is this, do you think this is a good project? You can give us a call and we can help direct you in that regard. So we digressed a little bit, but so all those priorities for funding, are the things you need to address in your narrative. And you got 7,000. That's like over. That's a lot of characters. So like I said, don't feel compelled to use it all, but we are asking a lot. So just be judicious and do your best. So all right. So after the narrative, there's an accessibility question, and it's important. Accessibility is really important to the folks at the state, and it's really important to us here, Hudson County Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs and Tourism Development. You guys all do like tremendous programming, and it's important that as many people as possible get to see it, regardless of if they have a disability or not, hearing or vision or mobility. But we don't require in our LAP grant, we require an ADA plan. It's a pretty it's time consuming, and it's a little heavier lift. The state, New Jersey's Historical Commission doesn't require a full ADA plan. But we do have a question on accessibility. So detail your organization's efforts to make its programming open and accessible to all people. Explain how your organization's programming will be made accessible to allow for greater participation by special needs audience or visitors, and specifically address your use of descriptive. It should be assistive listening devices, sign language interpretation, braille, interpretive signage, special tactile exhibits, et cetera, et cetera. So, all these things might not be applicable depending on what you're doing, but and if you don't know what some of these things are, you should definitely do some research. But assistive listening devices, I'll just tell you what they are. They look like if anybody's old here, you'll know what a Walkman looks like. They look like a Walkman with earphones, and what it does is there's a transmitter that comes with the Walkman device, and it amplifies the sound, and you wearing the headphones and you can hear better. If you've been to Broadway theater, you've probably seen them or seen people using them. We actually have them in our office. Rosa Mundell is our ADA coordinator. And if you want to use our assisted listening devices, you contact our office, and we'll put you in touch with Rosa. We can also put in the chat the link in our website we have a whole accessibility section in our website. You can check that out, and that can help you in your ADA efforts. For those of you who don't know, the ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act. It was passed back in 1989. George Bush the first, H.W. Bush, signed it into law, and it basically it created an environment where people who have disabilities have the same rights as people who don't have disabilities. And it's hard to believe that there's a time when that wasn't the case, but it is the case, and it has been since 1989. So like I said, it's really important. So you should definitely answer that question seriously. After that, the next thing is provide resumes or qualifications of your required qualified historians. So it says see item 3 on page 7 of the guidelines. So you would get their resume or their CV or whatever, and you would attach that. That is important. So you need to do that before. You can't apply and then say, oh, we'll find somebody afterwards.
Yeah.
That needs to be part of your process.
And I'm going to revisit that. So again, when you have a qualified historian, it's not just somebody who has a historian title. they have to be expert in whatever subject your project pertains to. So again, going back to the example I cited about there was a dance troupe who used historic costuming from several different ancient periods. And so they had, you know, an authority on that. But again, so if you are doing a project about transportation in 19th century New Jersey and, you know, Hudson County, you obviously can't use a historian, a costume historian for that. So you would have to find somebody. And, you know, it's just somebody to consult with. They don't have to write anything. They don't have to do anything. But if you have questions as to the accuracy, and the reason why you know, I'm talking about this is because it's been intimated to me that, you know, there could be somebody from the state because we are a regrantee. So the state grants us money. The Historical Commission does send out people to, you know, just to check up on things, see that everything's running smoothly. And they do report back. They also have their own panelists at the end of the year. So those panelists will make suggestions about what needs to change or who didn't actually fulfill the guidelines. So we just want to keep everything neat and clean. And it's really not that hard. If you do have problems finding an expert, just give me a ring or email me and I will help you.
Yeah, super important. Kind of like the foundation of this grant is history. So yeah, it's really important. So okay. So now you're marking that you uploaded your history, your historians. Now we are going to mark as complete, and you're going to the budget. Now let me just say something about the budget. So this is detailing the costs associated with your project. And let me say that this is a matching grant, and it requires a one-to-one match, but it can be in any combination of cash and or in-kind services. So we know what cash is. That's money from like admissions or subscriptions, or, you know, don't just donations that people give you, or money that you gave out of your own pocket to support your own organization. And there's
Or
a
if you
place
have volunteers, Joe, can you, like, if you have a set of volunteers,
so yeah, just so
can
I'm
you
almost
average
there.
out what the hourly pay would be for a normal non-volunteer and use that?
So I'm gonna get there in 1 second. So in this budget there's expenses, and there's you know, there's what's the word I'm looking for? What's the opposite of expenses? It's the money that you're getting.
Right, your debits.
Yeah, debits. Anyway, you'll see it you'll see it
Your
in the budget.
costs.
Your revenue?
Revenue. There you go. Bingo. I'm a finance major here. Thank you, Gina. So yeah, so you would put that in revenue. You'll see that, you know, that's revenue. That's cash revenue. In kind is it's things that you would normally pay for, but you're getting for either free or discounted rate. Brian talked about volunteers. No, it's an it depends question. People are coming in to like just be there. Like you know, we have open museum hours from like 11 to 1 on Thursday. Like that's a volunteer. That would not be considered an in-kind contribution. In-kind contributions are things like they're donating these, they're letting us use these costumes, and normally they would cost like $1,000 to rent, but they're only charging us $100. So $900 of that would be an in-kind contribution. So anything like, you know, you're doing programs and someone donated copy paper, and the copy paper costs like $500, that's an in-kind donation. So the amount of, so in essence, if your project costs $6,000, you need to match that. If your project costs $12,000, you'd be asking in essence asking for $6,000, which you're going to match with either cash or in kind. And it could be any combination of there. So if you don't have cash, it could be 100% in kind. And you'll see in the budget in a second where it accounts for this. It's easy. It's that this is not to scare you. It's pretty easy to rack up in kind, contributions. And, most organizations have a little bit of, have some cash, and then they balance it out with in kind. If your historian is donating his time, that is a in kind contribution. Any expert, like if you're, anything that's, anything that you would normally have to pay for, but you're getting for free, that's in kind. Okay, so we want to just go down to the budget first. So we'll come back to the budget narrative. So the first part of the budget is expenses. So this is how much your project costs. So you're going to put in, so the first is personnel. So you put in how much, all these things. I'm not going to read them all. You can see them there, and you can be able to see it on the application. Administrative, speakers, honoraria, travel expenses, which are limited to, we don't pay for plane flights. All that stuff, like the yeses, what you can pay for, what you can use the grant for and not use the grant for, are spelled out very clearly in the guidelines. And let me just say, before you do anything, I highly recommend that you read the guidelines thoroughly and get to know them. Really, the key to a successful application is to follow the guidelines. So then these are more expensive, that's administrative expenses. Now here's facilities. So like if you're using, if you are an organization that's going to put on a play and you need a place to put the play on, you're probably going to have to pay for it, or you're getting it in kind. So these are how much it's going to cost to do that. And then marketing and publicity, and then artistic expenses, designers, musicians, crew, actors, dancers. If you're doing a play and you have to pay for royalties to use the script, that's what that is. And then, so some of our projects are not like, some projects, especially from history organizations, are not like, you're not putting on a play or a dance or a ballet. You're like preserving, you should definitely, like in the guidelines, like I said, it spells out like what you can do with this money. So, a lot of it can be done, a lot of people use it for research. So if you're, this is where you would put in your fees for, you're doing your research for the research, how much that costs. You can see there, you can publish a book, so that's, typesetting and binding, you can see there. And other is something, if it's not listed here, you will put it there, and there's going to be an opportunity. We're going to go back up to the budget narrative in a second, and I'll explain that to you. So we got that. We got our site, our program and site accessibility expenses. So if you're going to have a sign interpreter, or special large print or braille, that in the cost would be, you would put it there. Let me just say, what you should do is, you're not required to like have like a braille, make sure we have braille programs, and make sure we have large print. Large print are easy. You can just make them bigger. Anything bigger than 16 type is considered large print. And you could just have a few of those on hand. But with the other things like sign interpreting, you can put what we recommend is putting on your materials for your event and on your website. Like say, if if you're in need of an accommodation, and you can spell them out if you want, like sign interpretation, blah, blah, blah. You should contact so-and-so. It's better if the person that's all they're dedicated to, but we understand with smaller groups, you probably don't have an ADA coordinator, but it should be someone that someone with a disability can easily get to. So if you ask ahead of time, then you can be prepared for what people need, and you don't like have to worry about it and think, well, maybe someone will or maybe someone won't. If you ask if someone gets in touch with you, then you know, hey, we're going to have a bunch of hearing impaired people here, blah blah blah. So then that's that's expenses. So then income or revenue, as Gina said, is the other side of the ledger. So like we talked about cash, we talked about cash income. This is going to match what the expenses are. So you're putting in how much income. So admissions, subscriptions, sponsorships, fundraising. Like if you have a fundraiser, grants other than what the grant that that you're applying for from us, and then there's in kind, and there's all kinds of in kind income. We just went through a lot of it. You can see all the stuff here. If they're not, if they're like paying their own way to travel, then that's an in-kind contribution. It's something you don't have to pay for. If someone's donating supplies for this stuff, it goes in that category. And then you can go down. In-kind facilities. So like I said, if someone is letting you use their theater for reduced rate or no rate at all, which would be really nice, then that would be, whatever if the going rate is $1,000 and they're charging you $100, then $900 of that would be in-kind contribution. And then likewise in your expenses, you would say you're spending $100 on facilities, since you're getting $900 for free. In a perfect world, your expenses and your revenue, what the hell is the word? Wow, I'm really losing it today. Your income and your expenses should equal out. And so when you subtract one from the other, it should really be zero. Of course, we don't discourage people from having overmatching. If you have a benefactor that's giving you a lot of money, there's you could show your income. You're not going to be penalized for it. In fact, you'd be applauded for it. But like I said, it has to match your contributions from your organization have to match what you're asking. It's a one-to-one match in any combination of cash and or in-kind contributions. So you can see this is all the in-kind stuff.
Sorry, I just your contributions can be more, so you don't have to match exactly, right? So let's say you're asking for 6,000, but you have a revenue of 8,400. That's okay too. It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be exact mirror image.
Exactly. So you're filling out the budget, and then when you're done, you're confirming that checking this by confirm the above total, and then so this is the budget. This is the.
Before I go to the next page, do you want to scroll back up to narrative?
Yeah. So just scroll up to. So there's two parts of the budget. There's the budget spreadsheet or budget summary, as we call it. There's also a budget narrative, and they're both important. And for the 900th time, I'm going to use this cliche, but if your budget summary that we just filled out is the skeleton, then the budget narrative is like kind of putting the meat on the bones. And what I mean by that is, like, we're not asking you to regurgitate those numbers to us in a narrative form. We're actually need to explain, like, your expenses. It gives you an opportunity to, like, if there's others in your, but you saw other place for other entries, for other expenses in the budget narrative, in the budget summary. This gives you an opportunity to explain what those others are. it also gives you, like, if it looks like you're spending like an inordinate amount, or you have you're hiring like an expert that the foremost expert on the Battle of Paulus Hook, and it's going to cost you like $1,000 to get this guy, but it's really worthwhile. It's going to make it an incredible project for you. Then this is the time. This is where you would explain it, because you would say, like, we're hiring Dr. So and so. He's the foremost expert on the Battle of Paulus Hook, and that's he's an expert in this, and that's why we're hiring him. So this just gives you an opportunity to like really explain, kind of flesh out the what's in the budget summary. Don't just regurgitate the numbers. That's not the point of this. The point is to explain, like, we're our book, we're doing a book, and it's going to be, we're printing like 500 copies, and it's going to have it's going to be full color, and it's going to have colored photographs in it, and that's why it's going to cost like this amount. So it just gives you an opportunity to really explain what you're doing. It's important. They're both equally important. So some people like to do the budget summary first, and then they go back to the budget narrative. That's probably a good way to do it, but some people like to do the narrative first, and then they fill in the budget. It's really a personal. Whatever you do, you should have the other one on hand when you're doing. So if you do the budget summary first, you should have that on hand when you're doing the budget narrative. You do the budget narrative first, you should have that on hand when you're doing the budget summary.
Joe, do you mind if I just clear one thing up? So, or let me just ask you this question: do they have to pay the historic?
No, that would be an in-kind contribution.
Okay, so they could contribute, I suppose, or they don't have to. It would be an in-kind contribution.
Yeah. So let's say Professor so and so, I love this project. I love you guys. Blah blah blah. I usually charge $1,000 for a consult, but I'm not going to charge you anything.
Okay,
that would be considered an in-kind contribution.
Okay, so they don't have to go shopping and do quote for professors and doctors. So obviously you don't have to hire a professional. You can engage a professional if you come to an agreement that they will consult for free.
Yes, so, but 20%, like I said, 20% of your budget needs to be on the professional. So if it's an in-kind contribution, it still needs to equal 20% of your total budget.
Okay.
So if you're asking for $4,000, if you're asking for $5,000, 20% is $2,000. So then your qualified historian, you'd have to pay $2,000. So yeah, it could be in kind, or it could be you're paying the person. There you go. So that's the budget summary and the budget. And we're moving good here. After you complete your budget summary and your budget narrative, so what we ask for is that you give us, and this is not mandatory, but it's advised, highly advised, you provide up to 5 support materials depicting recent and or current activities or program your group has undertaken. So if you've done this stuff, if you've done a project that's really successful that you're proud of, you can upload programs, you can upload videos, you can actually put links to videos if you have them on your YouTube or something. You can actually link the videos. If we love videos, they show because they show what you're doing. The one caveat is, please do not upload like a 30-minute video and then say, like, please scroll to 12:23 in the video. Just like give us a concise video, like a few minutes of something. These, like I said, these peer reviewers have like tons of applications, and it's you're kind of abusing them if you like make them look at something that's like as great as it may be. If you make them watch a 30-minute something that's like 30 minutes long, it's not good. So please be wary of that. You don't just want to throw the kitchen sink in, but we highly recommend that you do use these. So this is going to show your track record, what you do, what your organization's all about. And this gives an example, some old examples over on the left-hand side. If you just go down, Marissa, down to that, yeah. Flyers, video files, audio files, newspaper clippings, really anything. Like if you did a book previously, you could put a sample of the book on there. You could, you could put a link to the Amazon page that the book's on. There's really like, there's a lot of different things you can do. And you can do up to 5 of those things. So that is that. That's really important. And then, the last thing is feedback. We want you to know how your application experience has been. We really love frank and honest answers to this question. So if you think it's just hunky dory and everything's great, that's terrific. But if you said like this is too confusing, blah blah blah, like whatever, we ask you to tell us. You won't be penalized. It's just honestly like we're just trying to make this as good as we can make it. We've changed things a lot over the years. I think things have gotten a lot better, more organized and concise. But yeah, that's the story. Bless you. And then the last thing is a certification. Just you're certifying that what everything in the application is true. You're signing it, and then you are marking as complete, and then you're going to be submitting the application. We're not going to go through general operating support, but these questions are largely similar, but they really pertain to the operations of your organization more than a specific project. If you do want to apply for general operating support, like I said, you have to be a history-based organization. Get in touch with Brian, and then at that point, we can direct you and help you with that. At this point, I guess we take some questions if anyone has any questions. It's really, if this is painful going through, I apologize and make it as exciting as possible. But this ain't rocket science, folks. You're all capable. Anybody who's on this call is capable of doing it. I would recommend that you don't wait till the last day. But it's really, it's pretty much, if you have a project in mind, then you know what you want to do, and you just need to figure out how much it's going to cost and tell us. We really encourage you to apply. We encourage you, especially if you're in a history community, that you invite other historic based organizations to apply. We tend to get a lot of arts organizations. Nothing wrong with that. I myself am an artist. I love art that's based on history, but this is primarily a grant for it's history. If we had all history organizations applying, that would be terrific. So please encourage you in the historic community. Please tell your friends and your enemies.
Thank you so much, Joe. That was amazing. And thank you, Brian. I know we went through the entire application and it was, a lot, but at the end of the day, again, take it bit by bit, piece by piece. And we are here to be a resource to answer any questions, to go over this application process with you. That's why we wanted to do it within the first week it launched. So we are here. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in the chat or raise your hand, and we can answer them.
I have someone raising their hand, so I'll let them talk.
I'd let them unmute themselves, or they have to.
They should be able to unmute themselves.
Jerry, if you have a questions, yeah, there you go.
I guess the issue that I have is that I have both I have a project that's underway. We're publishing 8 booklets, and we've done 5 of them already. There are 3 more to go, and they're being written, etc. But at the same time, operating expenses, can we do a request for both?
No, you can apply for one or the other, and that's explained in the guidelines. It's a either or proposition.
Okay.
And since if this is the first time you're applying, Jerry, then you would be going for the program support grant.
Well, no, we've done booklets with,
No.
we've been as a group 30 years and we've done booklets in the past.
Right, but
funding.
have you applied for this grant before? Not to my knowledge. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we did it many years ago.
Mm. Okay,
Bill
well,
LaRosa was in charge of cultural and heritage affairs. We
yeah,
did the Revolutionary War, et cetera. But I can't, I mean, I would say that we need the money for printing the books more
well,
than the general operating expenses.
right. So
I would
then I would
just
advise
prioritize
you.
it that way.
Yes,
Mhm.
I would strongly advise you to apply for the program support grant.
Yeah. And the other question I had was, and I've had problems with this in the past, sometimes the best technical person, the best historian is within our group. And everybody
Yeah,
says, you should be picking somebody outside the group. And we're like, why?
yeah,
So
no. If it's
that's
in the
an,
group and that person has bona fides that fit what you need,
yeah,
then you're gonna be supplying their they're gonna just be supplying their resume, and that would be an in-kind contribution to
yeah,
your efforts.
right.
So
We
there's
do
nothing wrong
have,
with that.
well, how, let's see, how, what's the right word? How private is that information? Because we have people who will work with us if it is not advertised that they are working with us, because they don't want to have a line of people asking them for
It's private.
more help.
Well, I mean, we're not broadcasting this stuff. The application is a public document. If someone were to
Yeah.
Oprah it, they could see that. But I mean, honestly, I think I think the chances are slim and none that anybody's going to ever do that.
Oh
I
no, this
mean,
is already the experience.
yeah,
It's the
Yeah,
experience.
and
well,
just also the peer review panel will be able to see it
yeah, the
when they're
peer review
reviewing the
panel,
application.
but they
Yeah.
don't.
Right.
Um,
Well,
That's also confidential.
I'll let Brian know the exact circumstances because some people are afraid that they're going to get on this list where people keep asking them for help.
No, that really shouldn't be the case at all. It's not, it is part of a public document, but you'd really have to search for the information as a
Okay.
member of the public. So, it's
Okay.
like Joe said, it's not going to be broadcast.
Maybe you can help me convince her.
Okay.
okay,
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
You're
yeah,
welcome.
no problem. Any other questions?
We do have a question regarding the expected notification of the grant awards to be released. As it's not in the guidelines, that's a great question. So that will be released at the end of the year. And all grantees will be notified via letter and email of the grant award received.
It actually is. It is on page 17. And 17 and 18 describes, and I can just give a really quick thumbnail. In the beginning of this webinar, I stated that the source of funds come from two different sources. The funds come from two different sources, from the state of New Jersey Historical Commission and our Hudson County government. So the way that the funds are distributed in three tranches. The first is in the first quarter of the year. The first quarter means any time between January and April. The first payment will be distributed, and that is 75% of the funds from the state. And then our county budget is not ratified until June, the end of June. And so assuming that the amount that we ask for from the county we get, which we never have not gotten what we asked for, and you'll see anyway, we've always gotten what we asked for. But if there was a tornado and they wiped out the county, and we had to use the funds for something else, like to feed people, then you would know it. But so the second amount is 100% of the funds from the county, and that is sometime in the summer. And then the last payment is after you submit your final report, which is actually in the next calendar year. So you'd be filing a report like in early January, mid-January of 2026. And then your final payment is distributed to you. So that, in a nutshell, it's explained in it's all explained on pages 17 and 18 of the guidelines, and I probably made it sound a lot more difficult than it should be, but
no, well, there. And again, we're here if you have any questions after the webinar. One more question is, can we clarify who's eligible for general operating support? So again, that's on the guidelines on page 10. And essentially, it's only Hudson County history-related organizations may apply for GOS grant. Non-history organizations can only apply in the project support category. So that's kind of just the gist there. And then you'll see the different requirements under the GOS in the guidelines beginning on page 10. Right. I don't see any further questions this time.
Brian, you want to wrap it up since you're the history guy?
Sure. I'd be glad to. I'd like to thank everybody for attending. Again, as I started out saying, it's really actually easier than it looks. Actually, my first time taking this over, I was absolutely aghast, and then I read it a few times and I thought, oh, this is a piece of cake. So it'll be a piece of cake for you as well. As always, I am here to help you. So you can call me, you can email me, don't hesitate, and no question is stupid. So we just want to help you get money for your organization and help serve the public of the county. So with that, I am going to sign off and thank all of my fellow panelists, Gina and Joe Wax. Joe, you did a marvelous job, and you did it so much better than I could have. So thank you.
And of course, Marissa for her technical expertise.
Yes,
and
I was going to thank the producer. She's like
my
the
apologies.
producer.
I just was going to chime in one last thing. Since you're attending this Zoom, you are seeing it. But if you do want to rewatch it, and why wouldn't you want to? You can. It'll be available on our website shortly, and so you can tell your friends too. But it'll be posted as soon as we get it from Zoom. We'll be posting it on the grants page on our website. And with that, I will be quiet.
Great. Well, thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Marissa. Good to see you. And we'll be in touch very soon. Take care.
Thank you.